right, the most illest WKU Sports Talk show is
Illest?
back. The most illest.
Okay.
Rhyming and stealing, I'm the most illest.
All right.
We're back in action for the next 30 minutes, bringing you the best WKU Sports Talk, because that's what we do, Shane.
That is what we do.
Exactly, there you go.
We bring the people all the information they want. I'm sorry, the peeps. Since you're saying
Peeps,
illest, I
yeah.
should say
you
peeps.
You gotta get down with the people
lingo.
now, man.
I know.
Gotta get down with the lingo. Of course, we are two people right now. Woody is out coaching some soccer again. He loves some soccer.
He says this will be it. So
Yeah, I think he said that like 3 other times too, but
We'll see.
but anyway, yeah, we had the face. But anyway, I'm Sean Williams along with Shane Bearden, and what do you want to talk about first, Shane?
Oh, I guess we can talk a little football.
Talk a little football. We've hit that midway point, and we're 4-2 right now. So
4-2.
you think that's kind of where you know, at the beginning of the season, is that kind of where you saw us being, or did you see us being 5-1?
I think I saw us being more 5-1 at this point, but
You're not the ultimate optimist being 6-0, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, I thought we would lose one to Tennessee or Navy.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't expect the USA loss. But
Yeah, I don't
one of
think
the
expected that either.
No, I don't think anybody did. But I don't think the team expected that one. But I think we're setting good. I mean, the schedule certainly gets a lot easier for the most part down the stretch. I mean, you got teams like Georgia State and just kind of
good this year.
knock that one up there.
Well, come on, man. It's a tough one in a dome.
Yep. But I mean, we talked about before the show. That's going to be Bobby Petrino's return to the Georgia Dome.
First return since he kind of quit on the Falcons. I mean,
Yeah, they might
let's go
have
ahead and be
some,
honest about it. I mean, he took off and took the Arkansas job and kind of left the Falcons 13 games into the season with some post-it notes on the lockers. Kind of chapped a few butts while he left. So it'd be his ultimate return back to the Georgia Dome. So we'll
they
see
might
how
have
that
some
goes.
angry Falcons fans there to root on the Panthers.
Well, I mean, the Falcons are kind of in a losing streak, a little slump right now, so they might actually have a reason to go to the Georgia Dome.
Yeah, just go watch a worse losing streak. So.
But yeah, I mean, WKU started off with a 31-10 win over Louisiana Monroe. Of course, a big week for them. I mean, you beat Navy on Saturday. Short week, go down to Monroe and beat the Warhawks 31-10. Of course, without their best gun, Colton Browning at quarterback. But still, they put up a pretty good fight. But you got to give Western a lot of credit. They got off to a really fast start. And you got to give a lot of credit to that to Brandon Dowdy, the quarterback. I mean, he started 8 for 8, had about 118 yards on those first 2 drives, 2 touchdown tosses. Had the big one to Willie McNeil on the first drive, streaking down the seam wide open, and then had that nice little toss pass to Leon Allen, who was streaking out of the backfield. The linebacker couldn't catch up with him. So,
yeah, I mean, I thought the offense played well. Actually, I thought that was probably one of our better overall performances. Mm-hmm. On both offense and defense, kind of both clicking.
Yeah.
I still think there's room for improvement on both sides of the ball, obviously, but it seems to me like we're getting better every game, which is, kind of what you want. I mean, nobody wants to peak at the start of the season, and, we saw how last year went where, we were great to start the season, and we faltered down the stretch.
You kind of
so
want
hopefully this year...
You kind of want that to be the opposite.
Yeah, so hopefully this year, we're... I feel like we're getting a little bit better at certain areas every game. Our receivers are catching the ball a lot better now.
Yeah.
I mean, there were still a couple drop touchdown passes in the Monroe game.
Seems to be the case every game.
it does. But, for the most part, they were, hauling in the catches. Mm-hmm. They were, holding on to the ball when they caught it and got contact from the defensive backs. And, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah.
Obviously with Dowdy passing for...
WKU record.
WKU FBS record.
Yards. Yeah.
370 yards.
So, I mean, that's good. I mean, you kind of mentioned it, Shane. You're seeing this team improve a lot, both offensively and defensively, even though Petrino said after the game, they're still, they put up a lot of yardage. They put up some points. But he said the offense, especially the passing game, isn't nowhere near he wants it to be still. And they still have a lot of work to do on that aspect. And it's like you said, you saw some drop passes out there from receivers. That's something they need to work on.
But they've been getting better. I mean, you can see obvious improvement in the last 2 games.
I mean, you're seeing it on the stats, too. You're seeing the yardage kind of start to improve and increase. Yep. And also defensively, you're starting to see the defense kind of really tighten up. You know, it kind of started with that Navy game. I mean, you could go back to the Morgan State game, but that's Morgan State. I mean, you know, I think me and you could probably shut Morgan State down, right?
Yeah. I think the defense actually, like, starting the game off, I think they were a little surprised when Monroe came out and tried to run the ball as much as they did.
Yeah.
But, you know, they bottled that up pretty well in the second half and you know, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of saw kind of a fast start with WKU scoring 14 points right off the bat, and then you kind of saw Monroe come back a little bit. And like I said, they kind of went to the run game early because you don't have Colton Browning there, who kind of pretty much does everything. He passes and he runs.
But their backup quarterback played pretty well.
He played really well. I mean, you got to give him some kudos. You know, played really well. He's kind of more of the pocket passer. So you kind of saw him go to the run game a little bit more. And, of course, they got a good running back. They got Jairus Edwards, who's a senior. I mean, he's an experienced veteran. So they were doing a good job running the ball, had that big pass play.
It
was
was
some broken
just
tackles.
poor tackling.
Some broken tackles, maybe?
Yeah. No, it wasn't broken. It was just poor
non-tackling?
Yeah. It was swiping at the ball and
It
not
was two-hand touch tackling, maybe a little flag football there. And I think it was like a big 69-yard passing catch. Kind of got them down there about the 8-yard line or so, and then
they
they
must
kind
have
of
been, you know, working with the kids at Parks and Rec a little too much
maybe
this fall.
just
so
right before the game,
they got a little
right?
confused and just two-hand touch.
Still in that Parks and Rec mindset, right? But anyway, they score. Of course, you know, Monroe scores 10, and then it's 14-10 all of a sudden, and then. You know, Western puts together a couple of good drives, had to punt the ball away, but they're right before halftime. You know, they go down there, they're at the 1-yard line. They were at the 6, got the penalty on Monroe, got them to the 1. Of course, could have kicked the field goal, but they went for it.
I mean, I would have gone for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you would have too. I mean, I think that was the right call to make. Maybe not necessarily. I would have liked to seen them do a bootleg or something like that.
I mean, if you go for the field goal,
pass.
it puts you up a touchdown going into the second half as opposed to only 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a half-yard line and you got Antonio Andrews in your backfield and the offensive line that's been, you know, how good have they been this year? I mean, you go for it.
But was it a right call to go up the middle? Would you rather seen a roll? I would have rather seen a rollout pass or a toss out to the outside.
There's too many. With our offensive line, I would much rather go up the middle and rely on our offensive line to push the line of scrimmage a half yard, enough for him to get in the end zone. Because if you bump it outside, you know, too many things can happen on the outside the seams. You know, you don't have as much protection out there. You don't have as many blockers. You know, there's risk of fumbles, all kinds of stuff, you know, when you don't
but
have
you
your
got
protection.
lanes, man. You got open space.
You do have lanes, but everybody always says, like...
Just being a devil's advocate here, man.
I mean, but that's like when I watch football with my mom. She's like, well, why are they running down the middle when there's all this open space on the outside?
Shane, I'm going to be your mom this episode. Continue.
Mom, I love you. But it's one of those things where, you know, if you bump it outside, that open space is going to be gone because it's going to be, you know, have defenders are going to shift over.
Yeah.
So you want to go where your blockers are.
No, that's true. You got a good point there. But I'm just saying.
And Antonio Andrews sees the holes in the line and, you know, he sees the gaps and he's great at hitting those.
He is great.
Just Monroe just stuffed it.
Yeah, they stuffed
all the gaps.
You can really say, you know, I mean, and the point I was kind of getting at, you know, Western scores 14 points. Warhawks score the next 10. They stuff Antonio Andrews at the line. They're to end the first half. So, I mean, they had a lot of momentum, actually, you know, going into halftime. So it was kind of interesting to see how WKU would respond. You know, would it be the South Alabama scenario again, you know, played out all over again? Of course, WKU at the time, you know, still looking for that elusive road win, you know, which they didn't get down at South Alabama.
And that's crazy because the last couple of years under Taggart, we've been the road warriors.
Yeah.
You know, we've been home is where we've been struggling. And then, you know, this year it's kind of been vice versa.
Yeah. Which is good. You want to any team wants to protect their home turf,
yeah,
but you also
exactly.
want to pick up some road wins
Right.
as well. So it's good to kind of get them, you know, to see that they didn't falter in the second half like they did against South Alabama. You know,
But, you know, luckily I think the best teams we have left on our schedule, we both have them at home in Lafayette this coming Tuesday. And
not this Tuesday.
Well, not this Tuesday, next
Get
Tuesday.
that right,
but,
man.
Yeah. And
don't make people show up here tomorrow night.
yeah, show up to the house tomorrow night.
Wearing your black.
Let's pack the house. October 8th. But
false alarm, folks.
but I mean, you know, you got Arkansas State at home as well, along with the Raging Cajuns. So I honestly, I think they're our two toughest opponents left, and you know, I think it's good that we get those on our home field.
Yeah.
I mean, Troy is going to be a tough road game, and as I said, I think
game.
Texas State. Oh wait, Troy's at home too.
Yeah, it's homecoming.
I'm sorry, Texas State.
It's okay.
I think Texas State's going to be the tough road game.
Yeah. You say Texas State, which I kind of agree with you on that, but I also think that going up to Army is going to be a tough road game for them as well, just because you're facing another triple option offense. Even though they, you know, shut down Navy, But still, to face an offense like that 2 times in the season, it'd be interesting to see how they kind of respond. And plus, you're going up to Army, so it'd be an interesting road matchup. But I mean, let's take a look at the second half. Western's up 14-10, and then they kind of come out. I think it's their second possession. Dowdy once again hits that hot streak. He goes 4 for 4 on the drive, has 81 yards, and Antonio Andrews caps it off with a 6-yard touchdown run. And kind of from there, like I said, the defense really, tightened up there in the second half, and then they allowed yards. They gave up yards, but they didn't give up points, and that's important too. You want to score more points than the other team. And
is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Is that how football's played?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Gosh. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, go.
Okay.
I was honestly asking. I didn't know you had to score more points than the other team.
Normally, yeah.
Okay.
Normally. That's kind of what you want to do. I mean,
right.
just saying. But yeah, I mean, Daddy went 4 for 4, had a great drive, and then, of course, you had a Sweatman field goal. And then Antonio Andrews kind of took over after that, just moving the chains, making the time tick away. I mean, time of possession, it's another thing. When we keep winning time of possession, it seems like every game, which is something that Taggart really focused on last year and during his tenure here. Not necessarily something Petrino really focuses on, but he knows that the offense is tailored toward that with Andrews and the running game and the offensive line. So, but once again, we won the time of possession, and I think for a stretch there, late in the third, early in the fourth quarter, when we kind of sealed it on the 2 scoring drives, the Schwetman field goal, and Leon Allen actually capped off the last drive with a 5-yard touchdown run. But Antonio Andrews, I think, had 11 carries for like 78 yards on those 2 drives. So, I mean, he was really a catalyst on that, moving the chains, keeping the time going, running the clock down, and kind of, wearing out ULM's defense. So, I mean, that was big kudos to him. And, like I said, Western...
Double A being double A.
Double A being double A. Like we've kind of said on the show last week, in the last 3 games, he's been getting those almost, 30-plus carries, getting 150-plus yards a game, getting those all-purpose yards like we've seen him do last year. So
And Western is still passing the ball quite a bit.
Exactly.
So, we're getting a lot more offensive plays off than what we did in the past. I think we're pushing the tempo a little more, which, can kind of tire defenses down a little bit, and that opens up for Andrews to get all those extra carries in the second half.
Yeah, and you kind of talk about the pass, too. Like a lot of the passing plays that we have, you look at the pass average yards per, pass attempt, kind of low. We kind of been dinking and dunking, but not this game. We averaged over 10 yards per pass play. Yep. We were throwing the ball down the field. Of course, had that 33-yard, pass and catch touchdown to Willie McNeil, had a 45-yarder to Tywan Taylor. So you went down the ball a few times, and Petrino said he wanted to do it a couple more times, which, it's Petrino's style right there. But
he always wants to just bomb it.
But it's good to see, and it goes back to what we said at the beginning of the show. The offense is starting to kind of open up a little bit, especially in the passing game. So you can kind of see that with the passing yards per attempt. We had over 10, whereas, the games previously kind of dinking and dunking underneath, running short routes and things like that. So that's good to see. Kind of opening things up a little bit. Makes you think the wide receivers are kind of getting a little more comfortable. Still got a lot of work to do, obviously, like we said earlier in the game, or earlier in the show, but still, I mean, they're showing a lot of progress.
Yep, I agree.
So
we got a couple interactions on Twitter.
Interacting with his people.
Tyler Graham wants to know what we think our strategy against Lafayette is going to be. I know it's a little early, but what do you think Western strategy will be against Lafayette?
Do what we've been doing best. Pound the ball.
Pound the ball? I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a big game for our defense to really have to step up, going against Lafayette's high-powered offense and another great dual-threat quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I think for Western, getting off to a fast start obviously is very important. And they've done that in 5 of their 6 games so far. They've taken their opening possession, scored.
Yep.
At least a field goal. I think they've scored a touchdown on every game in those games except one. And it's important to get off to a fast start. But obviously, you want to make Andrews your focus on offense. But you also want to throw the ball. Not necessarily throw the ball deep on the first few possessions. Maybe get the wide receivers a little bit involved, a little bit comfortable. But really, I think it all comes back to curtailing the offense around Antonio Andrews in the running game.
Right.
And I think it's like I said, Petrino's kind of come to the realization. I think he knew it at the beginning of the season, but I think he's coming to the more of the realization that that's what he needs to do. That's what this team's focused on, and that's what they do best. So, I think if we do that and really, see what our defense does. Now, defense is going to have a tough test against Lafayette because Terrence Broadway is quarterback, and guess what he is, Shane?
Dual threat.
He's a dual threat. And he's a dual threat that can really pass the ball,
Yep.
too. I mean, he's got a really good arm on him, almost like a Colton Browning,
Yep.
which we didn't face this year, and we were fortunate to not face him. But Terrence Broadway, I mean, he broke into the scene last year, had a really big year, and like I said, I mean, he's legit. He can pass the ball, and when he gets open space, he's really speedy, too. So, I mean, he can pick up yards on the ground, and it's gonna be tough to defend him, for sure. So, it'll be interesting to see how the
Hilltopper
defense
fans
does.
can find solace in the fact that anytime we played Lafayette, if we beat ULL, it's usually by a pretty large margin. If they beat us, it's usually a tight game, 9 points or less.
So if it's a tight game, we might. Is
Yeah,
that what you're trying to say? All right,
There's always a first for everything.
yeah, keep the interactions coming, people. Always tweet at us at TopperTalk TV. If you got any questions, comments, or anything like that, which I do actually pose a hypothetical question to anybody out there. Is Antonio Andrews the best running back in college football?
Depends on what your definition of best is.
Well, what's your definition of best, Shane?
Well, I mean, you can have the definition of best as will he be the best pro prospect from the running back position, or you can say will he put up the best stats of, all the rest of the running backs in the country. And if that's the case, then I say yes.
Well, right now he leads the nation in rushing, and he's second in all-purpose yards, too.
Exactly.
LSU's
No,
Odell Beckham.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So.
But I think he is. I think he's probably the most talented under the radar running back.
Mm-hmm.
NFL scouts obviously are looking at him and stuff like that. But as far as national media coverage, I mean, nobody really talks about Andrews very much.
Yeah, and I think really if you look at it from like a national scout perspective, like our NFL scout, I mean, I think Andrews is doing what he needs to do, being on the Sun Belt team and playing in the Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah.
He's coming out every game. He's putting in the yardage. Like I said, he's leading the nation in rushing yards, second in all-purpose yards. So to do that on a consistent basis, week in and week out in the Sun Belt, it's something you need to do to really get noticed and get exposure. But like I said, being in the Sun Belt, that's going to be a problem because you're not going to get that much exposure as well, like if he was playing on an SEC team.
Exactly. Yep.
So, I mean, but you got really honestly look at it. I mean, is he the best running back in college football? I would say he's definitely in the top 5 for sure. I mean, he's durable, never gets injured. I mean, he's always, he carries the ball 30-plus times a game if he needs to, 40 if he needs to. I think he's had a couple 40 carry games in his career. So, I mean, he's very durable. He's a workhorse. I mean, he's hard to tackle. He's got great lower body strength. And not the speediest guy, but, it's like you said earlier. He knows how to find the holes, and he's tough to tackle. So, I definitely think he's definitely top 5 running back into college football.
I agree with you.
You agree with me?
I agree with you.
That was easy. That was really easy, man.
Let's switch gears over to basketball a little bit since you and I just came from the practice.
We did.
We'll just say it. I
Who's
think
excited for basketball, by the way?
everybody ready for basketball? It's still football season, but I'm ready for basketball. I think we're a lot deeper this year than we have been. I don't want to start the hype machine and and get people all crazy, but
Hey, man, we're going to win 30 games this year.
I don't know if I go that far. I mean, who knows what can happen, really? I mean,
Well,
who thought Butler was going to have that breakout year before they did?
The Kentucky fans think they're going to go 40-0, so I'm just going to throw
Every
out hypotheticals out
Kentucky
there.
fan thinks they're going 40-0 every year.
Even last year?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
They did until they started losing.
That was pretty early, though, right?
It was. But I think they're going to be a talented bunch. We're deep at every position.
Mm-hmm.
As Coach Harper said, after the practice today, he said that we got multiple guys that can play multiple positions, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to basketball season.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Coach Harper really, stressing the press today, working on some press stuff. So it's going to be fun to watch this team. They got the athletes. They got the depth. I think they're going to be really fun to watch. I think they're going to play a lot real fast-paced.
Yep.
Up and down the court.
More pressing.
More pressing. So, I mean, I think it's going to be really exciting to watch this team. And like I said, they got athletes. And really, they've got, like, the ultimate kind of secret weapon, too, because they got Trinity Jackson and Chris Harrison Docks coming in mid-December. I think they'll actually be ready for that Louisville game. So, I mean, that'll be definitely be a big thing for them to have those two guys come in there, middle of the season, almost midway through the season. But
And also, speaking of little hoops, just for our old buddy Dabeed that watches the show, and he's tuning in right now.
well, this is breaking news, right?
This is breaking news.
You found this out.
I
before
found
the
this
show
out right
came
before
on.
the show started.
Go ahead, Jay.
But Zay Jackson
Is that,
of
who is
Murray
AJ?
State University, the same
guy that-
Walmart parking lot
The guy that
individual.
ran over 2 people in Walmart and actually used one as a windshield wiper.
Yep. Let's just say karma has come back because he tore 2 ligaments in practice today and is now out for the season.
So I think the moral of the story here is don't run over people in a Walmart parking lot,
Because karma will come back.
and your ACLs will be tore. There
Exactly.
you go. Lesson out
Well, I
there,
don't know if it
people.
was his ACL. It was just 2 ligaments.
Oh, 2 ligaments?
Yeah.
Well, it's
They just
ACL.
said 2 ligaments. They didn't specify
I'll just go ahead and
which
say it's
ligaments.
a couple ACLs.
Okay. We'll
Maybe a
say that.
PCL in there too. How
All
about
right.
that?
MCL.
Yeah, MCO possibly.
But-
All right, so we're talking about basketball. Basketball practice started today. So what's the outlook? I threw out 30 wins just to be kind of funny and sarcastic, but I mean, literally, how many wins do you see Western Kentucky getting this year?
I could see us getting, around 25, 26 wins this year.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't think the Sun Belt is going to be near as much of a challenge this year as it has been. Although I think top to bottom, they may be a little better, but there's not going to be, as many top-heavy teams. I mean, not saying that FIU and MTSU and North Texas were necessarily top-heavy, but, they were near the top of the conference along with Arkansas State and Lafayette. But
Yeah.
And you're adding Georgia State, who's a decent team, and you're adding Texas Arlington, who's a decent team, to the mix. So I still think there's some talent there for the conference-wise, but, I just don't see us having as much issues this year. And I don't think we're going to have 7 guys get hurt.
Yeah, that was kind of a
Let's knock on some wood
once
here.
in the season type thing. Just
Hey,
injury
speaking of
issues
wood.
back and forth. Yeah, these are great tables, right?
These are great tables.
Great tables and chairs, right?
I know.
They're from the Jasper Group,
The
man.
Jasper
I mean,
Group.
Come on.
Jasper Group let me knock on wood to make sure I don't jinx the basketball team.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, I definitely see your point and kind of agree with you, too. I mean, I think, Western can win 25, 26 games. So
Yep.
definitely, I think you're probably...
No 16 seed this year.
Yeah, I don't think you're really going to see that, and I think a lot of publications are going to list them as the favorites in the Sun Belt
Yep.
this year, too. I mean,
Actually, a lot are listing Georgia State, which
well, I
just
think
baffles me.
well, Georgia State's, they're pretty good, and then they got Ryan Harrell,
Yeah, but
too, but
They're
I
coming
think...
from the SoCon. I mean,
Come on, man, you're knocking the SoCon?
yeah.
Oh, man. But I think a lot of people see that Georgia State's a pretty decent team. Granted, they're from the SoCon. I'm sorry, Shane. I know that kind of chaps you a little bit. But, I mean, they also got Ryan Harrell, too, from, the transfer from Kentucky. Now, we struggled a little bit at Kentucky, but, hey, it's that Kentucky lure that...
He wasn't on the 40-0 team that UK fans predicted for this year.
I know, but anyway, I mean, I really think you're going to see that. I know the Sporting News already has Western Kentucky, and they came out with their preseason magazine. They already got them listed as Sun Belt favorites. And I think you'll probably see a lot of publications list WKU as preseason favorites in the Sun Belt. And, of course, you're going to see George Fant and TJ Price listed as, first team all Sun Belts, in the preseason. So it's about that time for all the basketball preseason rankings and All-American teams to come out. And I think you're going to see Western at the top in a lot of them. You're going to see George Fant, TJ Price on those All-American teams preseason. So, which rightfully so. I mean, I think really, I mean, they're going to have breakout years this year.
Oh, I agree. I can't wait till their senior year. I mean, not saying that I don't think this year's going to be
jumping
great.
ahead, ain't you, man?
I know, but not saying that this year's not going to be great, but, their senior year, I mean, that's just another year of, under Harper, and I think this year will be a breakout year. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think the following year, could be something very special.
It could be. You're gonna see a lot of those guys come back. And then you're gonna have a lot of great athletes out there. Like this year, we've said it before on the show. Harper's got the team that he wants.
Yep.
He's got the athletes.
And he's finally
wants.
got his horses to be able to run the ball more.
Exactly, and he's got the type of players and the depth where he can run his system, and I think they're going to run it really well. I mean, if you look at practice today, I mean, Harper's a perfectionist. If they don't get something right in practice, he blows the whistle and he teaches them, and they do it over again. They do it over again until they
do it over again until they get it right.
No matter how long it takes. So. I mean, I think a lot of fans are definitely excited for basketball season. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a great year. So I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. So.
Yeah. Switch gears over to a little volleyball and soccer.
What you got
Volleyball
for us, man?
The volleyball team has still not dropped a set in conference play yet.
That is not a shocker to me.
No, it's not a shocker.
They didn't drop one last year either, did they? Or did they drop one?
They didn't drop.
They didn't drop
a single
any?
set.
Okay.
This past week they took out Georgia State 3-9, Texas State 3-9, and Texas Arlington 3-9.
Just another week, man.
Just
Come on. Just another week for Coach Hudson and the volleyball team.
Then we got soccer. They played Texas State the other day and went into double overtime. Managed to, in the 108th minute, senior Curry, Andrea Curry, scored a goal in the Golden Go to go up 1-0. And
Is that? Do you have to say 1-0 in soccer?
you do. It's nil.
You can't just say 0 in soccer.
It just doesn't sound right.
Okay.
But it pushes Western past Texas State in that one.
All right. Well, sounds good. We're doing good. Well, we got about 3 minutes left. So let's throw out another hypothetical question.
Okay. What you got?
Let's go back to football. We're halfway through the season. We are 4-2. Where do you think we'll end up? What's going to be our final regular season record? Take out the bowl game. Let's focus on regular season. What will be our final
Take out
record?
the bowl game?
Yeah, just take out the bowl game.
Okay.
Regular season.
Man, that's a tough one.
Dude, come on. You just spit out the basketball thing just like that.
I'm going to say 10-2.
10-2? We're going to win the rest of them?
I'm going to say we're going to win the rest of the games.
I'm going to go 9-3. I think we'll have a game there that we might falter on. And it's like you said, it might be the Texas State, might be the Army game. So
I just think that, I think the team is wanting to prove something going out of the Sun Belt.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we lose one more conference game, I don't think we'd win the title. So I think
agree with you there.
I think just losing to South Al, already have one conference loss. I think if we want to, win the Sun Belt title in our last year in the conference, we kind of got to win out the rest of the year. So that's what
yeah,
I'm gonna say
that's the thing you got to watch out for too. And you got to kind of remind people this is our last year in the Sun Belt, so we're going to have big targets on our back.
Yeah, everybody's putting their best game because they don't want to lose to us for the last time they might ever play us.
And then we're going to have even bigger targets on our back because Petrino's roaming the sideline.
Yeah.
So, you have a big-name coach, and, you have a team that's their last year in the conference. So, we're going to have that target on our back
even though
every week.
it's football and it's not basketball, I don't mean to sound like we're bragging or anything, but, it's Western. Everybody in the conference loves to hate Western or loves to, cheer against Western.
Just the way it is, man.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah, you go 10-2, I go 9-3. Like I said, maybe a little.
And win a bowl game. I'm going to throw that out there. Just
Okay.
Because.
Well, you were talking about bowl predictions earlier. What did you,
they released the bowl prediction. Bowl predictions this time of year are pointless.
It's about like a preseason poll.
Yeah, basically. They just, take the record you have now, your conference record, and just say, hey.
Just throw you into a slot.
Yeah.
You said GoDaddy bowl,
Yeah,
right?
a couple of places that picked us to go to the GoDaddy.com bowl in Mobile, Alabama, which would be a good place for, Hilltopper Nation to travel to.
As long as it's the complete opposite of Detroit.
As long as it's
cool,
south
man.
of Bowling Green. That's all I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's too early to really tell what exactly bowl game we're going to go to. But, yeah, like I said, hopefully it's south and hopefully to be a better one. If we get 9 or 10 wins, I could see us going to that type of bowl game. Yep. Even a better one, too. So, we'll give out...
it'd be nice to end up in maybe like the Music City Bowl or something like that. The SEC may not necessarily get all their teams in. So.
All right. Well,
local.
That does it for this episode of Topper Talk. Thank you for interacting with us, and we'll be back next week. Same Topper Talk time, same Topper Talk channel.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.
This old